So we have a minute more. Vinay.
Yes, sir.
Let's begin dot on time.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Namaskar. We are ready.
Morning, sir. Even we are ready almost. Welcome, sir.
Your Highness, Namaskar. I am ready on time. I think everybody is on dot.
Nice to see you. Namaskar, Professor. Namaskar to all of you.
All right. Namaskara. Namaste. Good morning to everyone present here with us today. Ellarigu swagata. Welcome. Albert Einstein once said, the only thing you absolutely have to know is the location of the library. In our beautiful TDU campus, that's a location that most of us definitely know. I'm happy to be a part of the anniversary celebrations of His Highness Shri Kantadatta Narasimharaja Vadiyar Medical Heritage Library as Indian Medical Heritage Day. We shall now begin the event with the invocation song seeking the blessings of the goddess Saraswati.
या श्वेत पद्मासना शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिर्देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेष जाड्यापहा.
I now invite Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta, COO and Registrar, TDU, to give the welcome address.
Namaskar. Respected Her Highness, Professor Darshan Shankar, Vice Chancellor of TDU, other distinguished colleagues, dignitaries, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and warm welcome to you all. On behalf of FRLST, TDU and IAM, I take this privilege, honor and opportunity to profusely thank you all and extend a very warm welcome for accepting our invitation to be a part of this observance of Indian Medical Heritage Day celebration. The Indian Medical Heritage Day is celebrated every year at FRLST, TDU and IAIM on the 19th of February since 2016. This is observed in the fond memory and remembrance of His Highness late Shri Kanta Datta Narsingha Vadiyar. Since ancient times, India's medical heritage has always fascinated all of us and as well playing a very key role in the formulation of a healthy mankind, and thus has constantly been contributing in shaping a sparkling cultural heritage across the globe. It still continues to having enormous contemporary relevance in not only preserving the ancient science, but also towards finding a better alternative to the modern medicine. Of course, the colonization period in the recent past has had made a big shift in all shades of heritage and culture. Yet, it is a matter of great satisfaction and pride that there has been serious efforts from various sources and at varied fronts to rescue, revive, and nurture our rich heritage and culture. We at FRLST, TDU, and IAIM are also engaged in contributing towards it in one way or the other since we came into existence. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Darshan Shankar, and our guest of honor in today's program, Shri M, shall further deliberate upon this topic of Indian Medical Heritage Day and its relevance in their upcoming talks in a few minutes from now. In today's celebration of Indian Medical Heritage Day, the TDU is also planning to upgrade its existing library management system, which will enable its access, the access to library inventory by everybody, even off campus. Currently, this facility is available only to the TDU staff and that too to access from within the campus only. And Her Highness has very kindly agreed to launch this in a few minutes from now. This system, as I said, will enable library inventory search by any visitor from across, within and without the campus, and including TDU staff when they are located outside the campus to log in, renew, recommend, request, and view their circulation history as well not necessarily coming to the campus. And this is yet another step towards the growth of our library, which is named after His Highness late Shri Kanta Datta Narsimha Raja Wadiyar. We at FRLST TDU IEM solicit your blessings, cooperation and wishes in this mission of growth of India's medical heritage. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you for sparing your valuable time to be with us and bless us. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Atul sir. We are honored and pleased to have with us today as our chief guest, Her Highness Srimati Pramoda Devi Wadiyar, who is also a very important member of the TDU family and the Indian Medical Heritage Library itself. I now invite ma'am to launch the cloud hosting of library management system on Koha.
Namaskara. Good morning to everyone from ISO. Professor Darshan Shankar, Vice Chancellor, Trans-Disciplinary. Guest of honor, Sri M, globally acclaimed spiritual personality, Dr. A.K. Gupta, Registrar TDU, and all the participants assembled here for this function. My association with this unique institution began 6 years ago with the Medical Heritage Library. And since then, every year, the institution has been celebrating this day as Indian Medical Heritage Day. Today, besides celebrating Library Day, I'm delighted to participate virtually in the event of cloud hosting of library management system software. I'm greatly pleased to launch the cloud hosting of library management system software at this His Highness Sri Srikanda Narasimha Raja Wadiyar Medical Heritage Library. I extend my best wishes to the institution and the participants of the event, and looking forward to hear Professor Darshan Shankar and Shri M. And thank you for inviting me for this Medical Heritage Day. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. This is how our cloud hosting of library management system will be looking. We are finalizing the look of the inventory as we speak, and as Atul sir mentioned just a few minutes before, it will enable access to the library inventory off campus as well. And for TDU users, we can log in and manipulate the data, like recommend, renew their borrows, etc. We shall now have a brief look through some treasured memories of the Indian Medical Heritage Day through a small slideshow. Over the past 2 years, the importance of good health has come under the spotlight. To give an introduction to Swasthya, the concept of health in Ayurveda, I now invite Shri Darshan Shankar, Vice Chancellor of TDU. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, everybody. The Mysore Palace has, over the centuries, seeded some of the best knowledge institutions in the state of Karnataka. Institutions like the Indian Institute of Science, for example, and many others. Therefore, one feels very proud to have the Mysore Royal Palace as the university's chief patron. We are indeed honored to have Her Highness to grace this occasion every year on this particular date. It is a great blessing to have Shri M as our guest of honor today. Shri M represents a person with experiential knowledge of nature that crosses the boundaries
Can't hear.
Darshan, we have difficulty hearing you.
in theoretical
Now we can hear you.
in theoretical fields like quantum physics. One mathematically postulates that linear time, as we know it, has a limited reality in a particular plane of existence. In the quantum space-time, the past
Oh my God. Talk about all the time. That's scary.
and future
Did you?
exist. In Indian traditions, we have yogis who are called Trikal Drishtas, who actually experience the coexistence of the past, present, and future that in quantum physics is only mathematically postulated. We welcome Shri M and look forward to hearing him because he comes from that lineage of Trikal Drishtas. A very few remarks on the concept of swasthya. This is a very profound concept in Ayurveda. It has 7 dimensions. 5 of them, most physicians of Ayurveda understand a bit. Namely, swasthya means, of course, to be established in oneself. And this is elaborated as equilibrium of the physiological functions, samadosha, equilibrium of the body tissues, samadhatu, equilibrium of the metabolic function, agni, samagni, equilibrium of the excretory function, samamalakriya. Now comes the more difficult part, prasanna indriya, senses, and the most difficult, prasannata of the manas, the mind, and prasannata of the atman. Most physicians don't really understand this. What is the implication of prasannata of the manas and prasannata of the atman. The mind itself is an entity which is reflected in the brain, which is a separate entity, mashtish. But the brain and the mind are not the same as understood in Indian knowledge systems. So therefore, these fields are not something that at least ordinary physicians understand. We now look forward to Sri M. Tell us about deeper understanding of swasthya beyond the physiological plane. Over to Sri M. Thank you very much.
First of all, namaskara. Honored to be here on this Indian Medical Heritage Day and launching of the library, the virtual library. His Highness Sri Kantadatta Narasimha Rajavadayar's Medical Heritage Library, and as the Indian Medical Heritage Day. I have very little time, so I'm not going to go into any formality except to say that Dr. Darshan Shankar has put me in a fix now. He projected the idea and then he left it to me and said, "Now you solve this problem." Now, I don't know whether I can really solve this problem, but I'll say a few words about health and the human spirit. Yes, it's right. What he said, what you said was right, that the physicians basically are to do with the body. So they look at the balancing of the doshas, balancing of the mind, prasannata of the indriyas, and so on. Understood. However, complete health should include mind health as well as body health. The approach of the yogis, to which parampara I belong, as you said, especially the Nata Sampradaya, to which I belong, we look at it in a different direction. It's like turning, in the Bhagavad Gita, there is a chapter, the 15th chapter, called Purushottama Yoga, which begins with the statement, Urdho Moolam Athashakham Ashwatham Prahuram. There is an upside down tree whose roots are up above and branches down below. So we look at this concept of swasthya starting from up above, which is the branches, which is that which is beyond the mind, and then coming down to the rest of the body. So while it's Ayurveda is a way of life, it's not even a way of medicine, it's Ayu. This concept is also included, it's not separate. I don't know, Dr. Darshan Shankar is an expert on it, so you can say no. But I think Ayurveda actually includes this concept of the inner being understood so that the mind is healthy and the body also becomes healthy. The other way around. Of course, for that, just as Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras has said, you start with yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, and so on, and go beyond, right? Because without a healthy body, which Ayurveda can take care of, you cannot have a healthy mind. I think Ayurveda also take care of the mind, because mind health, even according to the latest WHO statement, perfect health does not mean just body health. It includes the mind. Now this question of whether the mind is just the brain or beyond. We say, as Darshan Shankarji said, that the brain is there, of course, like a computer, extraordinary computer, no question. It can be strengthened, it can be made more healthy, it can be made more accurate by Ayurvedic practices as well as yogic practices. However, we feel that behind this extraordinary computer, there is the Atman, which is not the brain. Yes, generally what we call mind is the brain. But there is one section of what we call mind, which is not effect, not the result or the product of brain thinking, but because of which the brain functions. The Upanishad says, Yan manasana manyute anahurmano matam tadeva brahmatvam vidvi nedam yad idam upasate, which means, it's a sweeping statement, Upanishad. The last part sounds like Krishnamurti, but we won't go into this. What they're saying is that because of which the mind has the capacity to function, that alone is the supreme Atman, nothing that you worship here. Now, when you say worship here, it includes physical health, mind health, everything. So there is an element in us which is a spark of the divine. And we believe, through experience, of course, it is experiential. I think step by step, as in Ayurveda, you can improve your health. Your swasthya can be looked after. The mind health can be looked after step by step through the practice of yoga, of which the most important, of course, is the statement made by Patanjali, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So I think to translate loosely, it would mean to clear the mind, chitta. Chitta is not exactly the mind, but whatever, the thought process, to clear it of all distractions. When all the distractions are removed, then the mind in its quietness and tranquility becomes the tarmac from which one takes off to the level which is called Atman. Where, as I can't stop saying this, just as Sri Darshan Shankarji said, it's the takeover from ordinary Newtonian physics to the quantum, where linear is not as important as non-linear understanding. Why? Because if that truth or that Atman, that spark in us we're talking about, is all-pervading and is not confined to one place, how do you travel from here till there? Suppose something is far off the truth and I'm here. I need to travel. There's a linear path to be taken. But what if it is also here? How do I travel there? Linear doesn't work. So what? When all grasping, all movement, all grabbing, all traveling stops and the mind settles down, which can happen only when there is almost zero distraction, almost. Because there's an awareness, which is also a distraction, but that you can't do away with. When this happens, then you have found it here, sitting here, not going anywhere else, right here. So my understanding of this whole concept of health is that while it is important to take steps to keep your physical health intact, ultimate and prevent disorders and imbalance, the most important thing also is to balance your prana, which is the yogic science, so that the Ida and the Pingala, the two nadis, operate in the proper way at the proper optimum level possible. When this happens, the Shushumna, or the most subtle part of our nadis, open up, and then one begins to go into higher levels of consciousness. And the person who has entered into samadhi, in the highest level of consciousness, has entered and understood the human spirit. And that is the total concept of health. It's not just physical. You can be physically okay, but the ups and downs of life will affect you. Physically, you may be fine. And that mind can affect also your physical body. The solution to that is, of course, yoga, how to calm the mind. When you go beyond that, when the mind becomes calm, then you enter the spiritual field, the Atmic understanding, which is not merely physical yoga, but something that is beyond. So my appeal, it's a wonderful thing that the library has been launched. My appeal is that you in this University of Transdisciplinary Health Services and Technology. Please, I also request Her Highness to look into this matter and discuss with Darshan Shankar ji that you have a chapter on the spiritual somewhere. You may have books, but invite people who are in the spiritual field once in a while. I'm not talking about myself, who will come and talk about the inner health and the ultimate health of the human spirit, where you realize that the inner consciousness is all pervading, and it's the spark of the divine consciousness that is in everybody. So I appeal that that step may also be taken so that this really becomes an all-inclusive global library for people to refer and find out health and the human spirit. With this, my half an hour is over. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. And thanks to the registrar and all of you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful talk. I now invite my colleague, Shri Vidya Venkatesh, to give the vote of thanks. Over to you, Vidya ma'am.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ವಿನಯ್. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. It is my honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this wonderful virtual event marking the Indian Medical Heritage Day. On behalf of all the TDU, FRLHT IIM staff, I take this wonderful opportunity to thank Her Highness Maharani Srimati Pramoda Devi Wadiyar for her gracious presence as the chief guest of today's program and for launching the Koha Library software. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Shri M for beautifully explaining the mind health and body health through his talk on health and the human spirit. Thank you, Shri M. I would like to thank all the members of the BOM, BOG, AROC, visiting faculty and well-wishers for their presence today. I would like to thank Mr. Jitin from Texicon Software Solutions for his diligent and prompt assistance for bringing the library management system onto the Koha platform. I would like to express our gratitude and thanks to the Vice Chancellor, Shri Darshan Shankar, Dr. Atul Kumar Gupta, CEO and Registrar, and all my colleagues at FRLHT, TDU IIM for their continuous support. We shall now conclude this program. Before that, I request all of you to stand up for the national anthem. Jai Hind.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our event for today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All for joining.
Thank you. Thank you all. Namaste.